Hi, I'm Dr. Ben Newman. I study coronaviruses for a living and I read a lot of papers because of that. So I'm going to try to answer your questions with science. All right, let's go. Okay, next question is from Tammy. Hello, Tammy. How's it going? Hi there. Could you please address the CDC report that only 6% of deaths listed only COVID as the cause? Yeah, I like the way you put that because you're actually capturing it as, yeah, as it should be. I'm pretty certain I know the answer, but I'd love a good explanation that I can share with friends and family who may not understand correctly. Happy to do this. We had another video on a website that was sort of pushing these claims. I think that was yesterday. I don't know when you're seeing this, but whatever. It was yesterday. Something called Principia Scientific. All right, so let's go into the claim. The idea is that, yeah, the CDC has somehow admitted that they got it wrong and only 6% of people died from COVID. Everybody else died from something else. Yeah, and this is bonkers and totally bananas on several levels, but yeah, we can unpick them one at a time. So the reason why this is happening is from the way in which COVID deaths are certified. So there is a large document that you can download on how to certify a COVID death. And normally you would only read this if you were a coroner or like a doctor that has to certify a death. I would imagine they do it in some places. And yeah, whoever is filling out the death certificate has to, for it to be counted as a COVID death, in their professional opinion, the person may have had other, what they call comorbidities, other conditions, which would lead them to have a more severe reaction or make it a little worse. But in the professional medical opinion of that person, or the coroner's opinion, they have to be convinced that that person would not have died if not for COVID-19. That COVID-19, SARS coronavirus 2, is what pushed him over the edge. So in 6% of cases, they on these forms, people have only listed COVID-19, which means there was nothing else in that was at all wrong with these people. These were otherwise perfectly healthy people. Now, you could look at somebody like me, and you could find comorbidities. You could find that I'm a little bit, sadly, overweight. Yeah, I'm wearing the whale shirts because they're very slimming. Yeah. And you could look in a lot of people and find trace of type 2 diabetes. You could look in anybody, well, you don't have to look in them, it's just anybody who's over about 50 would have an elevated risk, and so you could list that on the form. So on the form, you're supposed to list COVID-19 only if it is the primary cause of death and not like a secondary thing that the person was about to die, caught it at the last minute while they were on their way out and then died. Those are not counted as COVID-19 deaths unless COVID-19 is the thing that pushes them over. Yeah. So all the others, I guess the 94%, list COVID-19 as the cause of death. So 100% of those list COVID-19 as the cause of death. Yeah. And they also list some of the other factors in the person that could have contributed. The reason they're doing this is so that epidemiologists and scientists can look and say, okay, what are the risk factors? How do we figure out who's going to be more at risk or less at risk? You know, is it going to be people that have, yeah, a little bit overweight, a little bit of diabetes, something like that? What is it? Are men, women, children, something like that? Yeah, this is how we get those statistics, is from forms just like this. Because after a person is dead and buried, you're not going to be able to go back and get those statistics. This is putting a little permanent public record out there. And yeah, the idea that all of these would be wrong, I mean, would have to involve pretty much every coroner and doctor in the country who has certified a COVID death. You're basically sitting there and saying that, yeah, well, I could have done a better job. It's a lot like sitting on your couch and saying, well, yeah, Tom Brady's okay, but you know, if I was there, yeah, on the football field, I would have thrown for 20 touchdowns and run for 5 more, and yeah, yeah. You know people like that? Yeah, I know people like that. That's, yeah, that's where this is going. That's where this is coming from. We're armchair quarterbacking the medical profession and what coroners do, and that's not that's not a good look. Yeah, that's not what we want. So that's the entire story behind there. There's a particular process, and these people are following the process, and as a result of following the process, this is the result. And yeah, you end up with COVID plus a list of all the other things that yeah, will help scientists to figure out what the risk factors are. But every single one of those is certified as a COVID death on purpose by people intending to do this and who are not part of a giant conspiracy, as far as I know. Yeah. And yeah, I don't know. When when you get to the point where the conspiracy has more people in it than are not in it, which I think would have to be the case here, then it's not it's not a conspiracy anymore. It's just yeah. It's just fiction. Yeah. So there we go. We're taking a regular fact and putting a weird spin on it, and on its own, fine. I see this particular fact being used. It's got political legs by the look of it. This is a thing that people are bringing out to sort of prove their point, and generally, yeah, I think this is leading people perhaps to take fewer precautions than I would hope they would against COVID-19. Yeah, people close to me now, I just found out, are sick, and this worries me as it just keeps circling around a little closer. I don't like it, and I want this virus to go away, but it takes all of us working together, and yeah, stories like this don't really help. So we've all got a part to play. Yeah, let's all do it. Okay, fine. I don't know if that did what you were hoping, Tammy, but yeah, I tried. Thanks very much. This has been Ask Dr. Ben.